Let's bring in our panel. Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review. Leslie Marshall, syndicated talk radio host, and Fox News media analyst, host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz. Okay, Howie, these emails keep coming. We keep on digging into them, some of them more interesting than others.
This, I think, is the worst one because so many of the other hacked emails involve what people around Hillary Clinton are saying, the internal sniping and all that. Here you have Huma Abedin saying Hillary created the mess. It's about Hillary Clinton herself. And yes, she had left the State Department, but she was still widely considered to be a very likely Democratic nominee. Everybody knew that. And I think when we saw Chris Wallace at the debate ask Hillary Clinton about conflicts at the Clinton Foundation, and when she tried to deflect that by talking about the great humanitarian works of the family foundation, we see that this is an area of vulnerability for her that she doesn't really have a strong answer to, except to talk about Russian hackers and the works, admittedly the good works of the foundation.
Leslie.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree that this is the worst WikiLeaks dump, if you will. One, she was not Secretary of State at the time. She did not end up going to Morocco, so I don't know how much China was broken. And I know people may think I'm crazy, but I think that we're more intelligent and not as naive to think that whether it's the Clinton Foundation or other organizations, if somebody says, look, I have this big check, but you guys got to show up at this, this happens. I mean, she was not running at the time. She was not Secretary of State at the time. She did not end up going.
You're saying it's
and
politics
then again,
as usual.
I think it is partially politics. I know people may be sick of politics as usual, but if we are so naive to believe that after this election on November 8th, whether here in Washington or throughout our country with every organization, it just comes to a stop if Donald Trump's president as opposed to Hillary Clinton, I think we're delusional.
Jonah.
Yeah, if the genesis of this had been when she was at the State Department, it would be criminal, but it's not, so it's just tawdry. And I agree this kind of thing happens a lot. I take a step back about this. I've always seen the Clinton Foundation, yes, they do a lot of charitable good works, but by my lights, the charitable good works were a cost center, like the electric bill. The reason why the foundation exists wasn't to do good works, it was to serve as sort of a place to park lugubrious, sycophants like Sidney Blumenthal and other henchmen, a place to sort of serve as a super PAC, a place to park her campaign while they were government in exile, and they had to justify all of this by doing charitable stuff. The Medicis built orphanages too, but they didn't do it because they were wonderful people. It was about power politics, and that's what the CGI and the Clinton Foundation has always been about.
But they also revised where their policies regarding taking foreign donations and said, okay, these 6 nations are going to go to international efforts, whether it's climate change, healthcare.
It was a little murky there for a while. It was a kind of a long. We're not going to take foreign donations, except we will continue to take them in the health initiative. So it was a little messy. How much is this breaking through, Howie? I mean, how much is any of this breaking through?
I think to a very limited degree, and for 2 reasons. One is it tends to be complicated stuff. It's hard to explain, even when you're set up in a sentence what was wrong. You got to know the context. You got to know who the aides are, which country. And the second reason is that Donald Trump continues to dominate the news coverage. And if we weren't talking about his female accusers and the answer that he gave at the debate to Chris Wallace about not necessarily accepting the outcome, then the Clinton Foundation, the emails, and all this would be getting a lot more oxygen.
I mean, there's other parts of it, and they're finding more classified emails in the exchanges. There are concerns about a special ops mission that was in some of these emails, and it seems to some that the FBI, decided this was it. We're not going to go any further down this road. What about this video that shows her talking about cybersecurity and the importance of it to State Department employees?
The problem is it establishes that she's a complete hypocrite about a lot of these things. It establishes a lot of things that we already knew, that she knew that she wasn't supposed to have this email. It wasn't done for her convenience. Every single factual assertion that she made in her first UN press conference has been proven in the mainstream media, the supposedly pro-Hillary mainstream media, to be a demonstrable lie. The problem is, I think Howie's exactly right, is that Donald Trump would rather be at the center of a media controversy in a negative way than allow the limelight to move to Hillary Clinton and let her actually take heat in the public arena, and it just sucks up all of the oxygen.
Speaking of sucking up oxygen, I was at the Al Smith dinner last night, and there were some real eggs of jokes that did not go on either side. Actually, I know the focus has been on Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton had some losers as well. Cardinal Dolan spoke about it on the Today Show about another conversation.
When when we were going in, I said, could we pray together as we were waiting to be announced? And afterward, and after the little prayer, Mr. Trump turned to Secretary Clinton and said, you know, you are one tough and talented woman. And he said, this has been a good experience in this whole campaign, as tough as it's been. And she said to him, and Donald, whatever happens, we need to work together afterwards. Now, I thought this is the evening at its best.
Leslie, we didn't really see that part of it.
No, I think this is an example of that public and private thing, right? Because, you know, come on, look, both of them laugh. Some of those jokes are very, very funny.
Oh, the good ones were very funny.
And actually, I had people tell me, Republican friends of mine tell me, you know, if I had seen that Hillary on the campaign trail, I may not hate her so much. Seriously, they were like, she was funny, she was more relatable, they liked more. I agree with you. There was some jokes, they call it in comedy out in LA where I live, going blue, and I was like, but I think that overall, and not just because she's my candidate, I thought that Donald kind of missed what it was about. And you know what these things are about, which is, one, the great work that Catholic Charities does in raising the money, two, a little self-deprecation, and three, some jabbing, roasting, you know, being funny. Not a campaign, not a debate, not a time to be attacking, and not a time to mention Catholicism in a negative light.
Yeah, I mean, had he ended on the Melania speech joke, he had the whole crowd.
That was a great one.
If he dropped the mic and said, raise money for Catholic kids or kids in New York, it would have been fun.
I think we can all agree at this table that going to a Catholic charity dinner and getting booed is not a good thing less than 3 weeks out. But at the same time, this is being so overplayed. I don't think it's going to move 10 votes. I know the media are kind of obsessed with it, how badly Trump did. It's the classic example of when a candidate is struggling, then everything, and Trump clearly with the self-inflicted wound in the debate and the poll slipping, everything becomes a metaphor for how badly the candidate is doing. You know, the plane is stuck in the mud, just like the campaign. And that's what I think happened here at the Al Smith debate.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dinner.
Next up, Friday lightning round. In the U.S. Senate races that are up this season, we're back with the panel. Howie, let's start with you.
If the Senate flips, that's really important because it's such a major power center. In New Hampshire, Senator Kelly Ayotte now trailing Governor Maggie Hassan by 8 points in a new WMUR poll, and she has been hurt.
This is the average we're looking at here.
Or the average of Real Clear Politics. She has been hurt by saying in the recent debate that Donald Trump is absolutely a good role model for children. Then she basically retracted it after the debate. She's been trying to figure out how to run away from Trump, but not too far, and that is a key state, a key takeaway potentially for the Democrats.
Okay, Leslie, your state.
Marco Rubio and Patrick Murphy, the state of Florida. I not only lived in Florida, it's an important state in this election, and I think it also shows that Marco Rubio's been damaged. He's come down a few percentage points, and we're seeing the benefit for Patrick Murphy of the independent voter in the state of Florida, and certainly that weighs in not just in the general election for president, but in the state of Florida for the Cuban American community for not stepping away from Trump more so, and those who were offended by Trump's remarks about women.
And obviously President Obama putting some aggressive campaigning down there in Florida as well. Okay, Jonah?
The Senate race in Nevada with Joe Heck, whose motto for some reason isn't heck yeah, versus Catherine Masto. I think this is important for two reasons. One, for the similar reasons that Howie's brought up about this delicate dance of distancing from Donald Trump and how far can you go doing it. He has, ever since the Access Hollywood tape came out, he's distanced himself further, and it may be hurting him. But at the same time, this is the one seat that Republicans could pick up, which is incredibly important. And it also tells you something, because Heck is actually a really interesting, ideas-filled candidate running against a Harry Reid apparatchik who is offering nothing other than furthering the ambition of the Democratic machine.
Let's look at the House side, the balance of power there. It's Republicans have a little bit more breathing room here, but some of these races look like they're getting pretty tight in the final hours. The race you're looking at, Jonah?
For similar reasons, Mike Kaufman in Colorado, some people call him the anti-Trump candidate. He's a solid, very solid conservative, great ACU rating, veteran, and he's distanced himself from Trump from the beginning in the kind of district that Republicans need to win in order to be a majority party in this country.
Leslie.
Virginia's 10th district. You have two women. You have Barbara Comstock versus Luann Bennett, and you have two people who just seem to, their strengths seem to be who is more distant from and dislikes Trump and his remarks more. And I think it'll also be interesting because you have one who is a freshman congressional member.
Howie.
In Florida, Charlie Crist, the former Republican governor turned Democrat, is now, and I thought he was pretty much washed up. He's now leading the Republican incumbent in that seat, David Jolly, ahead in the polls, several polls. The race has tightened somewhat, but Jolly could be in trouble if Trump doesn't win that state. That's a key battleground state, obviously, in the White House race.
Okay, it's Friday, so we do winners and losers here. We'll start with winner, then loser. Howie.
My winner is Chris Wallace, our Fox colleague, winning praise from across the journalistic landscape for his masterful handling of that Las Vegas debate. Even Howard Dean says he deserves exceptional praise, and it's hard to do, as we've seen with other moderators who got mired in controversy.
Loser?
Loser is the Al Smith dinner. It's a great institution, but it's supposed to be a lighthearted respite from political partisanship, and wound up getting kind of mired in controversy over those jokes.
Winner, then loser, Leslie.
Nasty women, of which I am one, I think is a winner, or the nasty woman remark, which we can thank Donald Trump for. And I got to say, for the Hillary campaign, man, to turn the woman card, the nasty woman, into hashtags Twitter and get more women on board, I think it's great.
You're proudly a nasty woman.
I'm proudly a nasty woman. I know the tweets that are coming later. I shouldn't have said it, right? And the loser, I would say, is Malik Obama, the president's half-brother, because oh boy, if I ran for office, I can always think of relatives right now would come on board. It was really, are you going to sell your soul for a check? I was laughing. Why is he there? What does this mean?
Winner, then loser, Jonah.
My winner is Bob Dylan for doing the most Bob Dylan thing ever, which is not even caring that he won the Nobel Prize in Literature and may not show up. No one knows. He's just on the road and couldn't give a darn. My loser is, if the polls are accurate, Hillary Clinton looks like she's going to win, and if she does, her presidency has taken a brutal beating this month. These WikiLeaks emails are sort of like a slow-acting poison and are going to have a really hard time for her to be effective at all. She'll have the left-wing base of her party attacking her. She'll have no trust among Republicans, lots of investigations.
Even if she wins the House and the Senate?
If she does, that's the important caveat.
Fewer investigations.
Fewer investigations, but a lot of journalists are going to cover themselves with glory, atoning for their guilt for having given her such a pass because they dislike Donald Trump so much.
When we come back, your Friday feedback.